guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Krenar and today we got a long video, but it's going to be a special one. In today's video, we're going to build a new pedal board. But now before we begin, I'm delighted to let you know that actually Nux sponsored this video and provided me with these pedals. They're actually the first company that's working with me on this channel. I had this idea of building a pedal board with one brand of effects only, and Nux came to mind because they've been really pushing the game lately when it comes to affordable and great pedals. So I reached out to them, I showed them my channel, and sure enough, they sent me the pedals, and now I'm able to do this video for you guys. One thing that blew my mind is how awesome the people at Nux are. I mean, the communication with them was a blast. They were friendly, they were precise, and they treated me like I was part of a bigger picture, and I really appreciate that. Thank you, Michael from Nux. It might seem that I'm overly excited, and that's because I am. And the biggest reason for that is that I had such an amazing experience during the whole process, and it's just so awesome. Now we have to remember, music is all about humanity. It's about building relationships. It's about sharing ideas, and it's about expressing emotions. I know we're going to talk about gear, but in the end of the day, this is music gear. And with these pedals, I just want to make music. That's what matters in my book, and ultimately, that's why I want to share this with you. So we're not going to do any fancy audio recording today. It's because it's mostly about why I chose these pedals and how I'm going to use them. And the biggest chunk of the video is the pedal board build itself, because I made this pedal board myself, and you're going to see clips of that too. I'm also going to give you some tips. By the end of the video, I'm going to play all the pedals and show you how I intend to use them. So let's go through the pedals real quick. This is the Masamune compressor and booster, and the boost side of it is just amazing. I mean, it makes the notes bloom, and it just gives them extra body. I love it. After that, we have the Horseman, which is a clone copy, and it's just warm and very dynamic. After that, we have the Steel Singer drive, and it's a perfect always-on pedal. I leave it always on when I'm using it with the katana, and it just gives you that vintage vibe. Now let's get to the most fun pedal on this pedal board, and it's the Roctary effect. This pedal is just amazing. It has Leslie, you can speed it up, you can slow it down. It has a polyphonic octave effect. It also has a drive circuit in it, and I mean, it's just amazing. Maybe you can help me. I want Josh Smith to try out this pedal, and I can guarantee you if Josh Smith tries it, he's going to have it on his board for sure. And last but not least, the good old Nux Atlantic. It's a delay and reverb pedal, and I mean, this is definitely a must for every board. Actually, all of these pedals are a must for every board. If you're looking for great affordable pedals that can do a lot of things, check out Nux. I mean, I'm not shilling, that's just the truth. So with that out of the way, let's get to building. Alright, so let's start with the board itself. Now the board is made out of plywood. I just went to my local shop, to my local hardware shop, and grabbed a piece of plywood. They did cut it to size for me, so it's 600 millimeters this way and 230 millimeters this way. So what I did is I measured all the pedals. In fact, I checked the specifications online, and I just came up with this size. I just wanted it to be as compact as possible, so I knew that I'm not going to change anything on this board, so that's why I went for the exact size of the pedals. Now there are a couple of things that I did to the plywood. So the first thing that you can definitely tell is that I spray painted it black because I just don't like the aesthetics of plain wood for a pedal board. Another thing that I did is that I installed these handles, and they're quite practical because you can grab the board by them, but you can also grab the board this way. And to be quite honest, these handles are just here for aesthetics. Now I apologize that I don't have any footage of me installing these handles because it was a pain since I didn't have a drill handy. And what I had to do is I had to use 3 types of screws, one larger than the other, to drill these holes, one time from this end and one time from the other end, because I didn't want the plywood to split, and the screws that came with these, they were quite large, so I had to go through 3 different types of screws and drive them through the wood. So here's the back side, and here are the screws for the handles. And this took me about 2 hours or 3 hours to make, and I decided to do it at 2 a.m. in the morning, so yeah, I couldn't get any footage. And last but not least, I had these rubber feet, and I just installed them here, and they make the board very stable, and it doesn't move. It's just perfectly fine. So the total cost was about 15 euros for this board, but if you skip the paint and if you skip the handles and just use the plank of wood and use some rubber feet that you have laying around, it'll cost you like something like 3 or 4 euros and you're good to go. Alright, so we know that the pedal board is made to measure for these pedals, and these pedals are going to live in this pedal board. So first thing I want to do is I want to take off these rubber feet, because I don't want them to interfere with the Velcro. I mean, they might not because they're quite shallow, but they might, so I'll just take them off one by one, and I'm going to fast forward that, and we're going to get to the next step. Alright, so the rubber feet have been successfully removed, and be careful with the scissors because you might rip the finish a little bit on the pedals, but I actually ended up using a regular pen for that, and some of them, I mean most of them, were easy enough to remove by hand, so no problem there. Now, a tip that I want to give you before you start building your pedal board is, alright, you got the pedals, you got the pedal board and everything, but when you start building it, you quickly might realize that you're missing a power cable, that you might be missing a patch cable. So make sure you organize everything before you start building, because there's nothing worse than starting to build the pedal board and then just cutting the process in half because you just don't have the materials. So as you can see, I got the patch cables ready, I got some power cables ready, I got Velcro to put on the pedals and on the pedal board. I got some cable management supplies, so these tie mounts and these zip ties that are going to allow me to dress the cables on the pedal board so it won't be that messy. And of course, last but not least, the power supply is already Velcroed up. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put some Velcro on the pedals, and the first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that the back side of the pedal is totally clean, and as I said earlier, you need to remove those rubber feet. And then you just stick the Velcro on it, but it's almost 4:15, and that means that RJ Ronquillo is going to be live, so let's go make a cup of coffee and watch the stream a little bit, and then we're going to get back to it. Back to mechanical keyboards. Kind of nerdy, right? Alright, so now it's time to figure out the signal chains. For this pedal board, I'm thinking of putting the compressor and the boost in the front of the chain. And after that, I want something higher gain, and I'm going to use the Horseman for that. This is the highest gain that I'm ever going to use. After that, I'm going to use the Steel Singer, which is probably going to be my always-on pedal, just to spice up the front end of the Boss Katana that I have. Of course, after that, we're going to use the Rotary, which is a modulation effect. This thing is just heaps of fun. I mean, you have no idea how fun this is. And last but not least, the good old Atlantic, which is a delay and a reverb pedal. I'm going to put that in the end of the signal. So I just put them roughly in the spots that they're going to be so everything fits. And now it's time to put on the Velcro. One thing with Velcro is I don't like it showing all across the pedal board because that creates a problem with gathering dust and gathering hairs, and I don't like the way that it looks after some time, and I definitely don't want to rip the pedals apart and clean it and put the pedals again because I really don't want to see it that way. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to put the hook side of the Velcro on the pedal, and I'm going to try to mirror it with the loop side. Now the thing is, if you don't have good quality Velcro, it's not going to work that well because the adhesive won't stick properly on the board if you just have it mirrored like that, and every time you want to remove the pedal, it's just going to rip the whole Velcro apart. But I'm going to try it. If it doesn't work, I'm going to put strips because that way it's more stable. So let's give it a shot with the first pedal and see if that's going to work. I'll be damned, that worked. Alright, I think we're off to a good start. Loop side is working perfectly. It's not moving from the board. I really had a hard time pulling the pedal away, so I think we're good to go. So let's try to Velcro all the other pedals and do the same process. So put the hook side on the pedal and mirror the loop side on the pedal and just stick the pedals where we want them to be. So now since the pedals are now moving, they're perfectly set, the power supply is set. Now I'm gonna figure out where to place these mounts. And to be quite honest, it seems that it's very tight in here. I don't know how it's gonna work, but I'm gonna give it a try and we'll see how that goes. The pedals are stuck, and the only thing that I want to mention is with these mini pedals, it's quite hard to get them to stick because they're fairly light and they just don't stick well to the Velcro. So you might want to use a bit more Velcro on them. But now it's not moving. Every pedal is stable as can be. The power supply is stable. I mean, I can pick the board, do this, nothing falls, that's good. So with that being said, I'm just gonna put a row of these tie mounts here and see what we can do with them. Placed a few tie mounts on the pedal board, and I'm gonna run some cables, some power cables, and see if they can help with cable management. If not, if I need to use more, I'm just going to use more and route the cables this way if it's too crowded. So let's see how that goes now. Another thing worth mentioning is that I'm going to use the Fuel Tank Junior power supply by T-Rex. This is actually the only part remaining from my last pedal board that I sold. Really good power supply. It has 5 isolated outputs that push 120 milliamps of power. And the good thing is that most of these pedals don't require any special power requirements. It's only the Roctary that needs at least 240 milliamps to operate. So I'm going to use 2 outputs to power the Roctary, and I'm going to share one output for these 2 pedals because these require 50 milliamps combined, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work. Well, hopefully. Hey guys, it's me from the future. I got an update. So it turns out that the fuel tank 2 outputs from the fuel tank even are not going to be able to power the rotary effects. So even though it should, technically it should, because the rotary, it says on the manual that it needs about 200 milliamps of power. And as I said earlier, the fuel tank offers 5 isolated, if you can say, outputs of 120 each. So combining 2 should bring about 240, and it shouldn't be a problem to power this pedal, but it seems to be having issues. So I'm just using an extra adapter, and it works perfectly fine. It sounds amazing. So let's get back to the video. Alright guys, this is the final result of me trying to dress the power cables, and I gotta say, man, I just reached a total new level of respect for people that build rigs for a living, because this was way harder than I expected. I don't know, it doesn't look that good, but I can deal with it. I mean, the cables are secure, everything looks fine, and it's not that messy. So I'm gonna stick with this, and let me know in the comments what you think. Now, I haven't tested the power yet. I don't know if the pedals will power up. So before going with the patch cables, let's see if they will turn on. Alright guys, moment of truth. This is not working. This is working. This is not working. This is not working. And we have an issue. I take that back. No, we don't have any issues. We just needed the patch cables plugged in order for these to power up. So we're good to go. All right, everything seems to be working just fine. Let's plug it in and see what we can get out of this. Alright guys, so this is the way I'm going to use this pedal board. I'm plugged straight into the clean channel of the Boss Katana, and it's completely dry. It sounds like this. So it's dead dry, nothing's happening. It's just a clean pedal platform. And this is gonna be a great board if I'm gonna gig someday and I'm gonna have a backline amp that I have to use. This is gonna be the perfect pedal board for that situation. So the first thing I do is I kick in a little bit of reverb because I cannot for the life of me play without reverb. So it sounds like this. It's a great clean tone. I'm using the spring reverb, and it's a bit of a long spring reverb, but it sounds amazing. So the next step is the Steel Singer. So this is going to be an always on pedal. So this is going to be my core tone whenever I'm playing this pedal board, and it sounds something like this. I'm on the bridge pickup on my PRS, and I mean, it's a great tone. I love this pedal. It's just the perfect combination for the Boss Katana. It just spices it up. Now the boost from the Masamune is very helpful in this case. For example, I want to play a crunch solo. I don't want it to be overdriven. I just tap in the boost and I can just go for a clean or like dynamic solo if I want to. Now if I want a mean tone, like a soaring lead tone, I just press in the Horseman in conjunction with a Steel Singer and it just sings. And if I want to add more color to that, I just simply press in the delay and it's beautiful. Now if I want to go completely crazy, I just tap in the boost and simply go for it. That's enough of that. Now I don't use the compressor side of this a lot because I'm just not a fan of compression, but this one is a really good compressor and you're going to hear that when I'm going to do the in-depth review demo. Now before we get into the Roctary, I mean the Atlantic can do anything you want. It has 3 types of reverbs, it has 3 types of delays. And it's tap tempo. It has a great slapback setting, so it's just a perfect pedal. I mean, this has to be on every board out there. Now let's get into the fun pedal. This is the Roctary pedal, and it's a great Leslie simulation. Take a load of this. I mean, if I turn on this pedal, I just can't stop playing. It's really good. As you can see, it has the slow and fast setting, and you can tap the foot switch for that. As I said, again, I'm going to do a whole video dedicated to all these pedals, but this is just so much fun. Another feature that it has, it's this octave effect. It's a polyphonic octave effect, and it's just so much fun to play around with. It makes your guitar sound something like an organ. So check this out. Alright guys, so that will be it for today's video. If you made it this far, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you want to support my channel and if you like what you're seeing here, please do consider to subscribe, leave a like on the videos, and leave a comment with your thoughts. Again, thank you very much for your time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.